We often say that it takes skill, character, and maturity to manage your personal finances, to manage money well. Well, specifically, what skills are we talking about? I'll share those and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, so what's it take to manage your personal finances well? How can you do so successfully? And I shared just a moment ago, we often say it takes skill, character, and maturity. And from a character standpoint, if you're trying to get ahead financially by lying to people, taking advantage of people, or maybe trying to take advantage where you're stealing or something like that, you're not going to get ahead that way. That's not sustainable, right? Taking advantage of others financially, you're not going to be able to be financially successful if that's what you're doing. And maturity is obviously important, right? Having more life experience, being able to see some things real hand, the stressors or the challenges when life throws you curveballs financially, how do you respond to them? So that's important as well. But skill, from a skill standpoint, what skills are needed? Right? I mean, in general, okay, yeah, that's nice to say skill, character, maturity. But specifically, what skills? Well, I just asked myself that question, and we were working with some folks right now that are looking at, their sizable net worth that they've built up and looking at their kids. Which of the kids have what it takes to manage this well and be good stewards? And specifically, what are the skills that they need? Well, I've got four kind of fundamental skills that you need in order to manage your finances and have success with your personal finances. And the very first one is budgeting. The discipline of budgeting, okay? That's the discipline of knowing where your money's going, or better yet, having the discipline to direct where your money's going ahead of time, okay? If you think about having a successful financial life, the only way to do that is to not spend everything that you make, okay? And budgeting is a key part of that, and then also making sure that you're doing the right thing with the difference, between what you make and what you spend, making sure that you're doing the right thing with the difference. But this is having the skill of budgeting is really about managing your expenses, but it's also about managing your appetites, right? So what things are you allowing yourself to say yes to? What things are you saying no to? So budgeting, some people think, well, I don't need the skill of budgeting. I'll just earn enough money that whatever my lifestyle is, it'll be covered up by my income. Okay, well, what happens when that income stops? You're just going to hope that you've saved up enough and then you can continue to do that. Some people can, not everyone, okay? And that's not, having this outrageous income that there's no way you could spend all of it is not a requirement to financial success, okay? So budgeting, I would say, is the first kind of fundamental skill that you need when managing money. The second, I would say, is investing through the ups and downs, okay? And this is a discipline for sure, a skill for sure, because you've got to know as the investments that you've made, as they've done well, you can't get too greedy, okay? As the investments that you've made, as they've, rotationally are down, you can't get too fearful, okay? So investing well is an important criteria in order to, it's a skill that you need to have in order to have strong, personal finances, okay? It doesn't mean you don't need to be an expert investor, okay? You don't need to be an expert on knowing whether you should invest in Tesla or Ford. If you're wondering which one's done great over the past 6 months, it'd be interesting to look at. So it might surprise you, okay? But you don't need to be an expert at saying, well, I should pick Ford over Toyota, Apple over Microsoft. You don't need to be great at picking the next Amazon. That's not what it takes in order to be financially successful. Now, if you get lucky and you happen to bet a lot on a concentrated position and you gamble and you win, fantastic, okay? But that's not a requirement in order to have financial success, okay? When you look at the studies, the average investor woefully underperforms a diversified mix, okay? And it's because this skill of being able to invest, save up and invest well when the markets are up and when the markets are down, it's a skill that is underappreciated, okay? So that is another skill. Oh, I also tell people, in order to be financially successful, you don't need to avoid the recessions. Yeah, you need to continue to invest through them. You don't need to time it perfectly. So this second skill is paramount to you having a success in your personal finances. The third is saving up for your financial future. And you might say, well, this is more of a character trait. Maybe, but I would argue it's a skill because it's something that you can develop over time, the ability to save for your future. Now let's go back to that budgeting example. The reason why that's such an important skill is because you've got to create that margin between your income and your expenses. But then you've got to do the right thing with the difference. And the right thing for a lot of people is saving. Well, you've got to save up for an emergency. You've got to save up for future upcoming expenses. You've got to save up for your goals. You've got to save up for your financial future. I mean, that's part of the skill of handling money and having success in your personal finances is saving for your financial future. And then the last skill of these sort of top four that I would highlight of skill that you need to have in order to have financial success, your personal finances, is having a plan or preparing for your future. Okay, so you might say, well, wait a second, what's the difference between saving up and having a plan? Well, there is a difference, okay? So much of your financial life is about managing transitions, managing life's great transitions. We've done lots of work on this on the Wise Money Show. If you're curious, check out the full library. We've done lots of videos on it, but it's okay, that transition from being single to being married, a transition from being married to having kids, being having those kids be young to having them in college, to pre-retirement, to retirement, to being single again. Lots of different transitions you're going to go through in your financial life, and sort of the big key here is being proactive, looking ahead at what those transitions are, and specifically saving up for them or working with a certified financial planner to build a plan to creatively address those transitions, creatively solve those plans so you're on track. Thinking of this, the most obvious example is starting to save early for your retirement, because that transition is going to come at some point where you're going to be walking away from a steady paycheck at work and into retirement. But what about, I shared some of the others, what about college for your kids? Or what about going from being single to being married, or being married or not being a parent to all of a sudden you're a parent? Like, thinking ahead in advance and preparing financially is so crucial, is so important to having financial success. So the skill of having a plan or preparing for your financial future, what's upcoming, I would argue is also one of those four essential skills that you need to manage your finances well. Your certified financial planner should be bringing clarity and confidence to your finances, but also creativity. That's that planful part. And because you don't have that maturity, you haven't experienced everything that a CFP probably has or that they've seen, they can impart that wisdom that they've seen into your situation. Say, you know what? I know financially in your budget, you could maybe make that next house work right now, but if you say yes to that, you might not be as prepared for this transition. How can we manage between the two of those, or what adjustments can be made so that you can stay on track? Those sorts of things, right? Your CFP is going to help with those sorts of things, providing clarity, confidence, and creativity. So, do you have the skill that's needed to manage your personal finances well? Well, the great news is, if you don't, you can work with someone to help you, to help import that skill and then help them equip you as well, right? For these foundational skills and all of the others. Do you need to know how to prepare your taxes? No, you don't need to be an expert. You need to be an expert with estate planning or home and auto insurance? No, those skills are helpful, right? They would certainly help you make great financial decisions and have a great financial future. They're not required, okay? These four skills are required, I would argue. Work with your CFP for enhancements or for learning or instruction with these, but then also to fill in the gaps elsewhere as well. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. You can find us online, korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.